Hi there, welcome to today's 30-minute yoga class. Today's yoga class is another one of our astrology yoga series, and this time the class is for those that are part of the Virgo zodiac. Of course, this is just an inspiration for the class, so even if you're not a Virgo zodiac, then you can of course do this class as well. One of the ways that the Virgo archetype has inspired this class is its constant seeking for personal transformation. And what this means, or how I think it could translate to yoga, where we quite often can see personal transformation in yoga, is when we focus on our flexibility. It can be quite tangible to see sometimes your fingers, they stretch just a millimeter more than they did a couple of months ago. So that means that in today's yoga class, we're going to focus on flexibility. One of the other aspects that the Virgo zodiac needs to practice in this lifetime is patience. And in order to encourage that, we're going to make sure we take it slow through each of the poses. And finally, one of the energies or things that Virgo needs to practice in this lifetime is humility as well. So to encourage that in this class, we're going to be doing a lot of bowing down, a lot of closing through the front of the body and opening through the back of the body, allowing us to practice a little bit of bowing down to the universe, to other people, to whoever. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of what you can expect in this yoga class. No need for any props, just roll out your mats and let's go ahead and get started. Come to your hands and knees to begin. Hands underneath the shoulders and knees underneath the hips. Make sure you're actively pushing the mat away with your hands. With your inhale, go ahead and drop the belly, pull the shoulder blades together and look forward. And with the exhale, pull the shoulder blades away, tuck the tailbone, puff the back of the body up towards the ceiling. Keep fluctuating through these two. Inhale, open up the chest. And exhale. Puff up the shoulder blades towards the ceiling. Inhale, belly button towards the ground. And exhale, pull the belly button towards the spine. Continue here, and maybe even see if there are some other movements that also feel nice for you. Maybe shifting the hips back from one side to the other. Maybe rolling through the spine. Or maybe if you find a particularly sticky spot, just staying there. It doesn't matter what this looks like. It's just about warming up the body gently. Go ahead and come back to stillness. Make sure your hands are underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips in case they have moved. With your next inhale, open up to the right side, right hand up towards the ceiling. Bring the hand down on your exhale. Inhale, left hand towards the ceiling, right hand pushes into the mat. And exhale, lower the hand down. Continue to fluctuate between the two. Inhale, hand goes up. And exhale, hand goes down. Let's do one more on each side. Great. Bring your hands out in front of you, a little bit further away, and tend to the fingertips. Begin to bring your chest closer to the ground while keeping the hips up, away from the ground, and on top of the knees. There's no need here to bring your chest or your forehead all the way to the ground. Floating away from it is okay. You should feel a really strong stretch here through your shoulders, the back of your body. Bring your attention here to your tailbone. We don't want to be flaring out like this up towards the sky. We want to make sure that the stretch is instead coming from the shoulders. So go ahead and tuck your tailbone slightly. Keep breathing here. Check in with your tailbone again. I just noticed mine wanting to flip back up. Make sure you're keeping it tucked so that the stretch comes from the shoulders. Gently begin to peel your chest and your forehead if they were on the ground. And slowly bring your hands so that they are underneath the shoulders. Go ahead and put your weight all the way back towards your heels. And bring your hips on top of your knees. So we're standing up now, sort of. Standing on our knees. Shift your weight to the right knee. Picking up the left foot and placing it at the front of the mat. Toes are coming up towards the ceiling. And see if you need a bit more of a stretch. Of course, you can stay up at the top. But if you feel like you need a little bit more stretch into your hamstring, go ahead and bow down over the left leg. Maybe the hands reach the floor here. Bring your attention to your hips. Make sure that your left hip is pulling back and your right hip is pulling forward. A lot of the times we tend to compensate by having the right hip back and the left hip forward. Just notice if they're in line, if not. See if you can bring them a little bit closer. Allow yourself and your back to just round. Bowing over the leg. Toes are actively pointing towards the ceiling. Gently start to rise up. Placing the left foot on the mat. Stack your torso on top of your hips and begin to transfer the weight again into the right foot. Instead of bringing the left foot all the way back to meet the right, this way you're going to bring it 90 degrees to the left. Foot is firmly planted on the ground, knife edge of the foot as well. So now your foot should be in line with your knee. Bring your left hand to the outside of the left hip. Perhaps it's better for you if I do it this way, so it's a bit better, easier for you to visualize. Left hand on the left hip. Inhale, right hand up towards the sky. And gently imagine that you're pulling something from the left corner of the room, using that hand to grab it. You should feel a stretch through the right side of your body here. Bring your attention again to your tailbone and just tuck it slightly. Bring your attention to your shoulders and pull them away from your ears. Great. Gently stack the shoulders back on top of the hips and go ahead and bring that left knee next to the right. We'll come back into our puppy pose here. Hips stay on top of the knees. Hands stretch out in front of us. Tent the fingertips and let the chest make its way towards the mat. Bring your attention to the tailbone. You can see even I was flaring my tailbone. We want to make sure that it's tucked here so that the stretch is coming from the shoulders. Gently pull your head away from the mat. Place the hands and gently walk them underneath the shoulders again. Stack the shoulders on top of the hips. Transfer the weight into the left knee and step the right foot forward. Toes are pointing, off balance. Toes are pointing up towards the sky. And go ahead and gently bow over your leg. If you cannot reach the floor here, feel free, if there's a cupboard or a wall nearby, to use that for your stability. Try to see if you're holding any sort of muscle up through your back and just let it all melt towards that right leg. You should really feel here your right hamstrings stretching and opening. If you feel like you're actually not getting enough of a stretch here, imagine that your left knee is moving forward while simultaneously your right foot is dragging backwards. And this sort of scissoring action should really bring a nice stretch there. Gently come out of that. Place the right foot on the ground. Stack the shoulders on top of the hips. Surprise, it's also a balancing class. And as you try to shift the weight onto the left foot, go ahead and bring the right parallel to the knee. So this time we have our right foot in line with our left knee. Our right hand placed on the right hip, left hand up towards the sky. And go ahead and bend over that right leg, opening up the left side of your body. Shoulders are working away from the ears here. Gently stack the shoulders on top of the hips. Bring the left arm down. Transfer the weight to the left foot and bring the right next to it. We're going to come to sit. Just get there in whatever way feels comfortable to you. Bring your legs straight in front of you. Toes are actively pointing up towards the ceiling. Just go ahead and bow over your legs here. There's no need to push here to go as far as possible. We'll stay here for a while, so you might find that over time, naturally there's more space that you can sort of play with and get deeper into the pose if needed. And really allow your back to round here. Sometimes we want to do this pose with a flat back and sometimes not. And this is one of those times where you can just let everything from the upper body hang. See if the shoulder blades can separate from each other. Slowly begin to walk your hands in closer to your body and stacking your vertebrae on top of each other until your shoulders are on top of your hips. Go ahead and bring your legs here as wide as feels comfortable. You might find that you also need to grab your hand and sort of take the flesh from your bum away, so that you're sitting a little bit more forwards. Feet are still actively pointing up towards the ceiling. And go ahead and bow down here as well. Again, no need to go very far. This time you should be feeling the stretch on the inside of the thighs. Begin to walk your hands closer into the body, stacking the shoulders back on top of the hips. Bend through the right leg and bring that right foot to touch the inner left thigh. Left hand comes to rest on the left leg. And this time we're going to go over and bring our right hand up and stretch over that left leg, feeling the right side of our body. I've been sitting all day, so mine feels quite tight. And imagine here that you're really reaching for the something in the top left corner as if you're grabbing it off of the shelf. So the goal is not to go as far as possible and collapse with the chest down, but we're keeping the chest open and imagining we're grabbing something. Check in with your right hip here, see if it's coming up off the ground. And if it is, just back out of the pose a little bit until it begins to be on the ground again. Slowly bring yourself back to center. Let's do the other side. Right leg stretches out, left foot comes into the right inner thigh. Right hand comes wherever feels comfortable on your right leg, maybe the shin, maybe the thigh. Open up your chest and go ahead and bend over to the right side. You should feel a nice stretch here through the left side of your body. That right foot is actively pointing up towards the ceiling. Come back to center. Let your left leg actually stay how it is, tucked in, but just bring that foot a little bit more forward so it's not in line with your inner thigh, but now it's maybe a little bit in line with your knee. Bring your hands up towards the front and draw your weight onto that left hip so that you can start to shift this right leg behind you. I'm running out of space here, but what's gonna happen is that you're shifting the leg so far behind you that you come into a pigeon pose. What's important with our pigeon before we begin to bow down is that we're not sort of falling into one hip like this, but that we're really staying even through the hips. So just have a check with yourself where your hips are at. And again, if it feels comfortable for you here, just go ahead and bow. You can stay on your hands, maybe on your shins like I am, or sorry, on your forearms like I am. And just really allow your head to fall down, your chin to draw into the chest. You should be feeling the stretch on the outside of the left hip, maybe even into the bum. If you're on your forearms, go ahead and come to your hands. We're going to stay in our pigeon here, bringing our left hand in the middle, bending through that right foot, and see if you can reach back to meet that right foot with your right hand. Really pulling that foot, of course not with force, gently pulling that foot in towards you so that you start to feel a stretch through the right quad, the right front of the thigh here. Notice if you're sinking into that front shoulder and actively pull that shoulder blade away from the ears. Release the right foot. Both hands come on the mat. Shift the weight to your left hip and draw that right foot forward to meet the left. Let's do the other side. So this time we have our left foot, our left leg in line with the short edge of our mat. Shifting our weight to the right hip and twisting that left foot back, so we're coming into our pigeon. Only go here as far as possible. If for you this is all you can do today, you can still allow yourself to withdraw from upholding your back. Just let it all fall. But of course, if you also feel okay and you have the space to come down, you can do so. Check in with your hips again. This time, make sure that you're not sitting into your right hip while the left hip is coming up towards the sky. We want them to be in one even line. If you're on your forearms, bring your hands to the floor. Shift your weight to the right leg and bring the left next to the right. Extend both feet in front of you and just go ahead and lie on your back. We're going to close the class with a short Shavasana or resting pose. You can allow your feet to flop open to the sides. Legs as wide as it feels comfortable. The palms are facing up towards the ceiling. And close your eyes. to introduce movement into your body. Removing your toes and your fingers, your wrists and your ankles. And when you're ready, gently rolling over to one side. Use the top hand to push yourself back up to the seat. Great. That was a really nice class. I hope you're able to feel at least a little bit of a difference in your body. Some of these flexibility routines or poses or classes, oftentimes we might do them for a certain performance or for how they look, or we're really feeling like we want to achieve a certain pose, like the splits. But I think one thing that we sometimes tend to forget with these flexibility or more stretches type of poses is that they oftentimes just feel really good as well. Again, thank you for joining me for today's class. And if you're looking for any of the other astrology yoga videos that I've done for the other zodiac signs, then I go ahead and suggest looking at this playlist. Hope to see you again soon.